All right, so this video is a specific request for somebody who's wiring a device up. And the question that came up initially was, could you use those holes in the back of the device, these right here, for your wiring connections? And they are made for wiring connections. They're made for a 14 gauge solid wire, so there's 4 of them there. In my experience, they're not reliable, so I don't use those connections myself, and I don't know many electricians that do really, because they're unreliable and they're kind of a pain to take apart. So I always use the screws, and even though it gives you 2 screws on each side, I do not use both screws. So if I have, 2 wires in the junction box, I don't use both the screws. I'll pigtail it and just have 1 screw on there. So there's an exception to that in some bedrooms that have a switched outlet. You can do the little thing where you break that tab off, and then you have 1 hot outlet and 1 switched outlet by breaking that tab off right there. So anyway, we're not going to do that today. I'm going to show you how to make a good connection on these screws here. And a lot of times people, when you strip your wire, give yourself a good 1/2 inch. I know you can't see that on the video, but sorry, my producer's not in the office today. So when you strip the wire, do a good tight bend. Where's my camera at? Okay, do a really tight bend to begin with, and hopefully this is not reversed. A lot of times what I see is people will put the wire with the hook on backwards, so that when we go to tighten this, if I were to tighten that, it'll actually loosen up that hook and the wire can actually come out of the connection that we're trying to make here. So you want to put the hook on the screw in a clockwise fashion. And then also, if you look at that, you kind of see the tail of the hook there, kind of sticking out a little bit. I usually tighten that up, so I try to do it ahead of time. But so if you see what I just did there, I tightened it up quite a bit. Okay, so that I know the wire is tight around that screw before I tighten the screw itself. Okay, so that's just 1 wire. And the other screw, I always just tighten up a little by hand. Don't over tighten it, but just so that it's out of the way when I put it in the box. And we'll repeat the process for the screws on the other side, neutral and ground. That's it. Make a good connection.